Folks, I'm Jeff.
And I'm John.
And we are the
J&J
J&J Show. And tonight's the first Wednesday of the month, and it's sponsored by Milton Industries. We want to thank our sponsors, Milton Industries, Z-Line by Milton, Promax by Milton. Is it Steck by Milton? Because I've never heard them say that. And LTI by Milton.
All of them are by Milton. You're right.
Yeah, all of them are by Milton. And we so much appreciate our sponsors. It was so neat to see them out at SEMA and Apex, wasn't it?
It was an awesome, great, wonderful time. I don't know how many more great, exciting things I can put in there. But, man, did we have a great time with the Tools for Schools at the Milton booth. That was awesome.
Yes, we did. And for those of y'all that don't know about the Tools for Schools, that's where we have Milton Industries and 3 other companies joined us this year. And we were able to give away $18,500 worth of
I thought
tools.
It was $2 million. What happened?
$18,500 worth of tools and equipment to the schools, and 2 of them were out there at SEMA and Apex, and that was so neat.
It was really neat because I'm sitting there talking to the winner, and he comes over. He says, "I just came over to see who won." And I'm looking at him, and I'm thinking, "God, I wish I could tell you won, but I'm not allowed to do that."
And so it's by reaching out to these companies that they're helping us share the tools, technology, and training. And tonight we've reached out to a couple special guests. And these are fellow shop owners that we've had the privilege of meeting in person. We got tonight with us Bryan Pollock and Michael Allen. I call him Mike, so I don't know if it's Michael Allen or Mike Allen, but both of these guys own multiple shops. And they're going to share some of the stuff with us tonight. And we're just thrilled. If Mike starts talking and you look at his background, I'm surprised because I thought he'd change his background because he's a celebrity. He was in, you saw the article, Ratchet and Wrench.
Michael is a great leader of our industry, and I'm pleasure to me to get to know you, Michael. I think you're awesome. I look up to a lot of the leadership you supply and you give to us, the industry. And to be featured in a great magazine, that's an honor. I've had a lot of great, wonderful friends I know that were in that magazine, but when I found out you were in it, Mike, hell yeah, I like this.
Oh,
must be a good show.
I thought you told me they let anybody in there now. But
so look, you guys know that running a podcast, you've got to find content. You've got to get new content and new people on a regular basis. And so it tells you that Ratchet and Wrench has really arrived when they've scraped the bottom of the barrel so hard that they gotta come to me for some sound bites.
But they ain't got to us yet. So
I think there's a lot of us threw your name in the hat and they came and got you.
But it was about shop owners and hiring and retaining, taking care of your folks. And that was the deal. But the other thing I wanted to say real quick before, so we don't hurt any feelings, but when you talk about looking up to leadership, John's a big guy. And
Not as big as Bryan, though.
He was looking up to Bryan. So when we talk about looking up to leadership,
I'm literally looking up into the stars. I love it.
What are you, like 6'7", Bryan? How tall are you?
Stop. Maybe 6'5". 7.5.
But who's
about
counting?
6'5". But who's counting?
And you just reverse those numbers, and that's me. I'm about 5'6". So there you go.
I have height dysphoria. I think everybody's about the same height as I am. So when I see myself in pictures with other people, I'm like, oh wow, that's a little strange.
That big guy?
Yeah.
Like, man, John looks little in that picture.
Yeah.
John took a picture with, we were out at ETI, Equipment and Tool Institute, and Mike was out there, and we hope to see more folks out there this year. But he took a picture with him and Oscar. Oscar's a big boy. And it was like, who's that midget?
You were out there for an abbreviated moment, weren't you? You were like there one day and gone that afternoon, weren't you, Mike?
Yeah. So as soon as we finished our panel on stage, I had to get out because we had a board meeting for ASTA the next day, and I had to catch a flight. Like I almost missed my flight getting to the airport.
Oh my gosh, yeah, because I was looking for you after the panel, and then And somebody said, he's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hated it because I feel like it was one of the best panels I've ever been a part of, and I think that the audience was not used to hearing that kind of conversation.
They
right?
weren't.
Because these are the folks that are in the R&D lab for tool manufacturers and for OEM tooling, and they're not used to getting a direct line to the end users. And I think they liked having that kind of unfiltered feedback that maybe they don't normally get in the 10 layers of bureaucracy between them and the end user.
Yeah.
So,
and the relationships that we made are still going strong today. You know, everybody I met there, I've had conversations with 1 or 2 or 3 times since then.
well, and they sent out some of their folks to ASTE this year to visit and see what that was like. And then at the AASP national meeting, they sent a representative and talked about their new affiliate membership level for independent shop owners, which I think is a great tool. So I think that it's really a good partnership for them to really get down in the trenches with the end users of the equipment that they're developing and the tooling that they're developing, and us to have a direct pipeline to speak to the people that are building it and not having to talk to, the sales reps who don't know crap about the product that they're selling or how it's developed or the back end. So that's a relationship that we as an aftermarket really need to cultivate for sure.
Well, and they were also out there at Apex.
Yeah, so that's where the ASP had our national meeting this year was at Apex. So that's where they were. They had a booth right next to Joe's garage.
Yeah.
So,
so it was really neat to see
We got
them.
some pictures with our girls.
And we were trying to talk to them and see what's going on, and it's they're a little different because like right now they're actually having their winter meeting in California, but the shop owners are not what they call full members.
Yeah, we're not invited to that one.
Yeah. And so it's like, to be able to be at that one is just unreal. And when you say unfiltered, it was kind of funny because I think Scott was trying to filter us just a little. Scott Brown, and it was like, no, we're gonna tell him what it is. Say what it is.
He's much more cognizant of sensitive feelings, and he's much more diplomatic in the way he communicates. And there's a time and a place for that.
Yeah.
And there's also a refreshing nature to just cutting out the BS and going straight to the point. Right. So.
That's my specialty.
and I'm trying to think because I think Bryan was at our table the closing night when we were sitting at the Snap-on table, and they literally leaned over and started asking questions like, okay, you said this, tell me what you mean, tell me what you want. And it was like, okay, this is the interaction that we were hoping for. Mm-hmm. And they were picking Bryan's brain.
They were really picking brain.
There ain't too much there to pick, but
but they got what they could.
They had a lot of good questions.
There's plenty of volume, just not a lot of quality. It's just...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff in there.
And we've got Bryan on here tonight because Bryan gets on a lot of the forums, and Bryan was talking about the programming, the diagnostics, and the different tools, and the J-Box. And we want to start off with letting him share some of that because that was actually some of the questions that they were asking. And, I had said about, we need a tool that allows us to do this. And, they call it topology. And it was like, we need to be able to see which ones are talking and which ones aren't. And so they call it topology. But I haven't dealt with that enough to be able to go kind of like engineer style talking and say, when we do this, it's just like, we can't see this. This is what I think technicians need to be able to see to quickly get to the area that we need to figure out. And Bryan started in on, they were saying, okay, well, because like, tell us, you have a pickup truck that is loaded with all kinds of diagnostic tools, not just one, and something about the sauce you spray on a pizza or something.
Who's got a test light and a power probe?
No, but
That's right. Test light and a Fluke 88.5 fixes most
Yeah,
of
you
the
go.
cars.
Look at
Mobile
it. You moved up a
diagnostic,
little
yeah.
bit, did you?
Yeah,
but
test light
folks,
and a multimeter will fix most
Yeah.
everything.
but folks were asking you, okay,
But that's not popular. That's not popular.
If we're
Yeah,
gonna,
it's not cool, but it still works good.
so you're plugging it into 1 and 14, and then watching the deal like that. And counting?
No, we deal with a lot of programming, and I think the question that you were addressing specifically was somebody had asked if how everybody felt about upselling programming as a maintenance item, and I made it a point where that can just be a huge issue. A lot of programming, not a fair amount, is due to parts replacement. A lot of times there's upgraded parts that are involved. The new software is designed to work with those upgraded parts. Every time you program, you take a huge risk at ending up with an unresponsive module. I mean, even if you have the right tools, the right equipment, the right battery maintainer, the right connections, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, the shop internet dies in the middle of something, it can cost you thousands of dollars. So I just don't see it as a very good idea as far as maintenance. When you reprogram an engine control module, there's a lot of things that end up getting reset as far as shift strategies, throttle strategies, all that stuff. A lot of times you end up with customer complaints, even when you're doing it just to repair a car. And, everybody that programs a lot has bricked a module. If you get somebody that says they've never bricked a module while programming, chances are they don't actually program that much. It happens to everybody eventually.
Now,
So
when we're
there's a
talking
huge
brick a
risk.
module, we're talking a write a check.
Yeah. You're either going to have to buy some new hardware or pay somebody to fix your hardware or learn a skill you don't already have. Pick one of the three.
And so what Bryan's talking about is there was questions on the forum, and if you go into a lot of the management software, it'll tell you, hey, there's a TSB for that.
Sure.
Or
Yep.
sometimes, there might be a recall out. And the question was, okay, so we have that vehicle and we're doing oil change, we're doing a tune-up, whatever. And we're seeing the TSBs, hey, there's a bulletin that says if you upgrade, if you do this programming, then it'll do better shifting. It'll give you better mileage. It'll run better. And that's versus the part where everybody out in the industry knows, okay, hey, we're working on a Ford, we're replacing one of the modules, and guess what? They come blank. It's not like plug and play anymore. It's like, oh, there's no information on there. That has to be programmed.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference is, okay, that has to be done to repair the car, and it may cause some shifting issues, some different issues that the customer hasn't experienced, because basically we're programming a new module and it hasn't learned.
Yep. It's lost all its adaptation.
So Bryan's deal was not good. How many programming in because you have 3 shops, so you go out and do it basically for all of your shops, but then you also do it for other shops.
For a couple other shops around here. I actually looked when I was renewing our GM for the year, because General Motors is a little bit expensive to renew for the year, and I just wanted to know where I was at. And General Motors vehicle programming, we have a line code for GM programming. At the end of November, we had done 84 program line codes just on General Motors for the year. And so that's not my Ford. I probably do more Ford, but Ford's integrates with the scan tool and it's less money, so that's a no-brainer. So I didn't look it up. I'm sure I'm into you know, we do a lot of Power Stroke diesel. I'm sure I'm into 150 to 200 program events on those for
A month?
for the year.
Here.
Yeah, right. It could,
What?
yeah. If I did maintenance upsells, it would be per
Yeah.
month. Yes, absolutely.
So there was somebody posting on, I don't remember which form, maybe changing the industry, but they were talking about preventative maintenance programming and software updates as a profit driver in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
And should you do a pre-scan on every car that comes in to tell them if there are software updates? And you can say, hey, your iPhone gets a software update 4 or 5 times a year, and you should do that so you get the latest security updates and features and everything else. And it's the same thing for your car. And we can do that for you for $200 or whatever that number is.
I think from a profit driver standpoint, there's a lot easier ways to do valuable service to the customer and make money. It's really not. I guess it depends on how much you're doing. If you get it down pretty good, and you can get through these things in 10, 15 minutes, that's one thing. But I mean,
but you can't.
A lot of these
people sell it on that 7 series that comes in and have it there for 5 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Or like the new Fords. I don't know if you know, like the F-150s, the image processing camera. If it won't take the USB stick, that's an 8-hour deal. I bought a slave laptop just to do those, so I can park it outside around the corner and on a battery charger all day and just let it do its thing while I get on to bigger and better things. So, yeah, it's definitely not. I would not be using it as a maintenance upsell. I would absolutely not be using it in that manner.
I would be scared to. On your phone update, you get to pick and choose what you want to change. But once you start these downloads that we do these cars, you're not picking and choosing. You're getting what you're getting.
Yep. I've had to fix a couple.
How many do you have to do for it to be profitable enough to also then brick modules once?
Yeah.
Every 20.
And it happens often enough. Bricked modules happen often enough to where I've purchased tooling and spent a lot of time training on fixing them. So it happens often enough to where I have tools and equipment to fix them that I've purchased.
And when we talk about often enough, just between your GM and your Ford, you're doing over 1 a day, basically, for the year.
Throughout the year, yeah. Yep.
And so you're also doing, I guess, Chryslers, Toyotas, everything else?
Yep. I don't, what don't I do? I don't do Volkswagens and Audis.
You're a smart man. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I don't do Volkswagens and Audis. I'll do keys on Volkswagens and Audis, but software updates, for what's involved, I'll just kick it. There's a Volkswagen dealer right around the corner from one of our shops. I'll just send
it. Don't matter.
Yeah, you can have it.
What
you
about
can have it and the owner. You can have the owner too.
Yeah.
But
and that's all part of being profitable and figuring out who your customers are and who they're not.
Yep. I do pretty good with European cars, but Volkswagen and Audi updates are like my Moby Dick. And one day I just gave up. I was like, you know what?
If you
Goodbye.
Get them owners out of them 2 cars and move them to Subaru, did you do better?
Oh, yeah. Don't get me going on Subarus either.
Oh, here we go. So, Mike, how many do y'all do? Do you do in-house or do you bring in a programmer on?
Mike's really smart.
I mean, we can do a little bit of in-house programming, but mostly we sub it out. I mean, we're not able to. I haven't invested heavily in OEM tooling and licensing, and there are plenty of mobile dudes that will be there in a couple of hours and they'll knock it out for $150.
So you call in someone like Bryan.
Yeah, I just let our version of Bryan come and do it. He's much shorter than Bryan.
Probably friendlier, smells better. He's probably the whole package.
I started something new, guys. Last month I bought the program Wrap Assist from Matco Tools. And hopefully I can stop bringing in that guy that programs our Nissans that we need programmed. So I'm interested in seeing how that works.
So-
set a
so-
reminder to talk about it in 6 months. We had a rep box.
Yeah,
And
we had one. You said
Now,
had.
hey, Michael, he's talking about the Rap Assist. You're talking about the deal that's got all the J box and everything in the single, and they remote in, not the actual Rap Assist or Rap 2 like they have the maintainer.
That's
You're
the
talking about the
pass-through
deal
to
that
go
doesn't have a
through.
maintainer with it, aren't you, Jeff? I mean, John.
It's a pass-through straight to the vehicle through their factory scan tools.
Right, but they're not never mind. I've demoed, I think, the thing you're talking about. It's a little deal about that big.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I demoed it, and I think it's different than what you're talking about, isn't it, Mike? Michael?
We're on our third vehicle with them, and the third one's been a success so far. But we haven't had, this is nothing weird yet, other than just a little difficult to fix. And this third one is a steering angle sensor that's not reading right. So the case is ongoing. It was opened up this morning. So I'm curious to how they get by with this one.
And if it works, that's the important part, right?
Amen.
Just because it didn't work for me doesn't mean it's not going to work for you guys. We have
True.
different cars that we work on and different skill levels of technicians at different locations, right? So,
And you're out there in the East Coast, and I'm in Texas, buddy.
and Bryan, you're muted.
Yeah, still say that way.
Sorry. I was coughing like a moron earlier. Holy moly. Anyways, yeah, if you're if you're trying to program Nissans and you don't want to spend a lot of time doing it, that Nissan's one that's a great one to hand off to somebody. I mean, I do them. I've made training videos on it on Scanner Danner Premium. I have a Nissan programming training video. You can go watch me guide you through programming a Nissan. It's about 30 minutes of video of how to open the account, do the whole thing. Programming is like ADAS, and both of them are easy until it's not.
Until it's not.
And when it's not easy,
It's really
it gets real hard. Yeah. Yeah. When it's not easy, when it gets sideways, it's
sideways.
Yeah, it is sideways. Because I haven't met a person yet that can see ones and zeros. So when it gets sideways, it is sideways, trying to get yourself out of whatever jam you got yourself.
Those guys that can see ones and zeros are called engineers. When we were up in Detroit, like 7 years ago or something.
Yeah, connected cars. That's pretty cool.
Those guys could see the ones and zeros, but they couldn't explain us where the pins were.
Yeah.
No, we do see ones and zeros. Well, which one is it? That one that's moving? Well, how do you know that's the one? Because it's moving.
Yeah, Mike and I have had the programming conversation, and I think what he's doing for his shop is working good for them right now, and I think that could change down the road, right, Mike? But now, as far as what you're looking to invest and how often you're doing it, it's working out pretty darn good for you, right?
Yeah, and ultimately, it comes down to an ego thing, right? Do I want to be able to do everything and anything in my shop that comes across the threshold? Or am I willing to say that's not what we do?
Right.
And that's not our specialty, and we have what we do. And, I can either find someone and sub it, or I can give you a recommendation. We don't work on vehicles that are more than 25 years old. Doesn't mean there's not money to be made in that. That's just not our specialty.
Amen.
We don't install customer supplied parts. There are dudes out there making a ton of money installing customer supplied parts.
Yes.
We've chosen not to do that.
You saying they're making a ton of money?
Oh yeah,
metric tons. Bigger ones.
Yeah, I mean, a ton is relative, right? It depends on the person and what their scale is. But there are dudes making really good money selling used tires. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to skin this cat in this business.
Yeah,
and we sometimes get tunnel vision because we're on ITN and Changing the Industry and ASOG and these other forums that have a very unique subset of our trade. And these are shop owners that are social with other shop owners. These are shop owners that think alike. Like we are, as a species, people that seek out others who look and act and think like us. And that's what we've done in these forums. Yep. And so we suddenly think that all shops are like us. and that couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah,
There are people that are
5%.
listening. Yeah, people that are listening to your shows, people that are on these forums, people that are subscribing to Scanner Danner Premium are very specific subset of our industry. And the majority of our industry don't think like that, don't act like that, and don't do like that. Right. And a lot of them make really good money doing it the way that they're doing it.
Yep.
So,
yeah, there's guys in Fort Worth, Texas, right there that do that, and I'm thinking, wow, no sense educating them. They're doing good. Let them go.
Yeah.
So when we talk about shop owners being the same and in these groups and the ones that show up to Vision and ASTE and on the different forums, you were just featured in Ratchet and Ranch, and they were talking about hiring and retaining employees. And when you say, hey, we kind of all do it the same, you actually do some things that I was impressed with. And that's like one of my pet peeves in the industry is shop owners, we can say, hey, we don't work on cars that are 25 years old, but some of the procedures that we do are still procedures like from 25 years ago, as far as how we pay technicians and how we, there's so many of them. There was trainers 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, that would come in and tell you, I know you have somebody back at your shop you need to fire. When you get back home, you need to fire them. And it was like, okay, wait, this not as easy as, you fire them, then you don't have another.
Just go out back to the tech tree and pick
Then
another
what?
check.
Yeah, then what?
Oh, hey, there's one. And
Oh, look at that guy walking down the street. Wonder if he's got wrenches.
yeah.
What weirdo was coming up with that? Oh my god.
Hey, I bought wrenches. They're ready. They're waiting. All I need is blood.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
tell
A
us a little
very
bit about-
large percentage of us have somebody back at the shop that we need to fire.
Yes.
But
Actually-
the fear of what are we going to do after we fire them is real.
Yes.
Actually, we have the best staff we've ever had right now. If
How
I
long-
spent the rest of my days with the staff we have right now, I would be happy.
Sweet. I love it. I
So-
had that 2 years ago.
So, Bryan, you have 3 shops. How many employees? do
We
you have?
got 18 employees.
And Michael, you have 3 shops. How many do you have?
31.
Holy moly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I don't know because we haven't talked volume between the two of you. We were talking at the beginning there as far as like growing and stuff. And so, Mike, your shops are called Car Fix.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. And I had a question about that because I had actually texted you a month, 2 months ago, and I had passed a Car Fix, and we were almost by Nashville. And you told me, hey, that belonged to this other guy, and it might have been the one you were talking to because you said
That was Rich. So Carfix in Tennessee is Richard Weiss, and I think he's got 4 or 5 now, maybe 6.
I think when I texted him, he was like opening number 9.
Oh, there you go. So
Yeah.
he's got that secret shop fix sauce where you go from 1 to 72 shops in that many months.
8 minutes.
So yeah.
8 minutes.
Say that one time. The shop fix secret sauce. That might be controversial. I don't know if we can talk about that.
No, we can. Let's go.
But let's
man.
talk about yours. Now, is Carfix, because I kind of had asked, is that a franchise or is that what?
No,
They're all the same
the name Carfix, to my knowledge, we were the second Carfix in the United States. There's one in Hutto, Texas, that opened or registered that name in 2001.
Okay.
And we registered the name in November of 2004. It was my dad's idea. My third generation in auto repair. My grandfather had Allen Service Station in White Cross, North Carolina, which is just a little wide spot in the road to the west of Chapel Hill. And that's where Dad grew up. And then my dad had Chapel Hill Tire and Service. And that's where I grew up. And he eventually changed the name because there were 4 Chapel Hill tires. He changed the name to Auto Protocol. We're the pro that you call for all of your automotive needs, right? We thought that was
a heck
really
of a
neat.
handle.
Yeah, but it was also confusing,
.com.
and yeah, and it was also confusing, and it didn't make sense reading it. It made sense when you heard somebody say all of that, right? So when it was time, when the opportunity for his second store came along, he said, "I'm going to simplify it." What do? We fix cars. We're car fix. That's what he did. And then Dad didn't own the land where Auto Protocol was. And eventually that lease ended and he retired and I took over CarFix. So
And now you have 3.
that's right. Opened number 2 in 2019, just in time for a pandemic, and then number 3 in 21. So
your third one is here kind of towards the end of it. And so it means 2019, you struggled through and did successful enough that you went ahead and opened the third one. So
I don't know that it was a struggle. Like the pandemic was great for business and auto repair, right?
Yeah.
Yes, amen.
Yeah, we didn't have to close.
Screaming.
Yeah, we didn't have to close. There were no
They
new
weren't
cars
making
available.
new cars.
Yeah, the
People
government
couldn't
was
buy
just
new
pumping
cars.
free money into everybody's wallet so they could pay to fix it. Right? They didn't have to have their car back quickly because they were all at home.
They had nowhere to go.
So
Fix it. Call me when it's done.
it was like I'm like, hey, can we get another pandemic in about halfway through 24?
Yeah.
Amen.
And there was nobody driving on the road during rush hour, so you get to work in like 3 minutes.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that was so
I
good.
loved it up here when they wouldn't pull people over for traffic violations. I was running 95 and the 55 every day, all the way to work, all the way home.
They didn't want to share your air because they were afraid that you had the vid.
Yeah, they were afraid I had the vid. I found out all the time how fast my truck could go. It shut off about 99 miles an hour. If you got a 21 F350, it only go 99 miles an hour.
Wah, wah, wah,
Yep.
wah,
99
wah.
miles an hour is all they'll give you in that power stroke. But yeah,
Now with all the programming, you didn't just go in and change that.
that's not anybody's business.
I tell you what, you can make some money selling that adjustment.
Yeah.
You can do some jail time selling that adjustment, Mike. That's where I've been at.
Amen.
Anybody who wants to sell it, they can have that money.
So
That is a hard way to make money. That's for sure.
So when we talk about that, a lot of folks that actually do have someone that, they wish they could replace, and we're talking about hiring and retaining. So you kind of do something that I thought was unique. When you get a prospect, you take them to lunch, break bread with them.
So, for a long time, I had the benefit of, by the time I came along to the business, my father already had a business coach. And when I was growing up, Dad didn't teach me how to work on internal combustion motors. He taught me how to read a P&L and a balance sheet and how to, manage the financials of a business. And so I feel like that put me several years ahead of the game in that capacity, and also limited me a little bit because I've never been a technician, right? So there's some back and forth in that. But one of the things that I realized was we expect workers to give us 2 weeks notice, and we get really, really upset if they don't. But we don't give them 2 weeks notice when we're going to fire them. We find their replacement, and then we let them go on Friday, and the replacement starts on Monday, in theory, a lot of the times, right? And I think that is a degree of hypocrisy. And when I started proposing this in my coaching organization, I made some people pretty angry. And it was, I don't owe them, and they don't owe me, beyond, personal friendship and relationships that are built, because they give me their labor every week and I give them a paycheck every week. And I don't want them to leave me hanging in the middle of a 20-hour job, right? That's dirty. But, if they say, hey, Mike, I found a better deal, or you're ugly, or I'm tired of this place, or I'm whatever, it's probably not super fair of me to ask them to work 2 weeks. unless they just wanna, and I'm gonna let them, right? If they're good people. But there's a lot of times that somebody will give us notice and we'll say, hey, thanks so much for giving us notice, but you know, you can go ahead and button up today and we'll call it a day, right? Because we don't want them with one foot out the door,
Right.
thinking about the next gig or poisoning the rest of the crew, talking about, you know, I got a better deal or whatever it might be, right? So if somebody who I think is a valuable applicant comes across, I want to reach out to them within that day, because there's you know, this is common in coaching circles. There's a reason they submitted that resume that day.
True.
Paycheck was bad. Their boss was rude to them. Something has happened to get them to reach out. You need to strike while the iron's hot. So I'm going to, you know, if they send me a resume in the evening, we're getting coffee in the morning. If they send it to me in the morning, we're getting lunch. I'm driving to them and buying them lunch. If they send it to me in the afternoon, we're getting dinner. That day, if at all possible, we're sitting across the table from each other. And I've got obviously our application, right? I've got a little one-sheet document about why I think it's good to work with us. I've got another one-sheet document that all the questions that the spouse asks that they forget to ask with the answers to that. And I've got a QR code to videos of a service advisor talking about what it's like to work here, of a technician talking about what it's like to work here, of a customer talking about what it's like to come here, and of a wife of a technician talking about what it's like to be married to CarFix. And I want the wife watching all of those videos, because you need to win the battle at home, right?
Amen.
That night.
Right.
That's it.
And so
That's interesting.
they don't get any of that until the meal's done or the coffee's done and I've decided that I like them, right? But I'm going to hire fast. So if they check the right boxes in experience and, you know, communication style, and, you know, you get a feel, right?
Yep.
For an interviewee, I'm going to make them a job offer right there, right then. But part of the interview process before we get to that point is I'm taking notes. Why are they talking to me right now? What are they unhappy about? Are they being mistreated? Are they being underpaid? Is dispatch unfair at their current shop? Are they getting stuck with all the hard diag while, you know, the jackleg down the way is getting nothing but gravy work? You know, what are the points of pain that have gotten them to this point? And when it comes time to make that offer, it's like, hey, you know, I know this feels sudden, but, you know, 10 years ago, I would have this interview with you, and then I would want to do another interview with you, and then I would want to go to dinner. My wife and I would go to dinner with you and your wife, and we get to know if we really liked each other. And, you know, but hey, the world's changed, bro. I think that you might be what we need, and I think we're what you need. I know you said that, you know, the boss talks down to you, or he's bipolar and crazy, or they dispatch unfairly, or, you know, they, you know, whatever the reason is. Well, that ain't how we roll, assuming that's not how we roll, you know, for the most part. I don't think we do.
That's not in policies and procedures.
Yeah. So here's the deal. And I have an offer letter ready, and I just fill in the blanks. Here's what I'm going to pay you. Here's how I'm going to pay you. Here's when I want you to start, and slide it across the table. I don't expect you to answer right now unless you want to answer right now, but I do need an answer by tomorrow morning. I want you to go home and talk to, you know, your spouse. And look, and here's the other deal, man. And I have an envelope with X dollars in it, whatever I feel like the appropriate signing bonus is for that individual. If you need to work 2 weeks notice, I get it. And I'm okay with that. But don't forget pain point 1, pain point 2, pain point 3. They're going to offer you a raise, or they're going to offer to, you know, fix these things that they said they're going to fix. And they are going to fix those things for the next 3 months. And then it's going to be the same thing again that it always was, because that's how it goes. And so you can either use my job offer as leverage to get a raise, or you can move your toolbox in tomorrow and I'll pay to have it moved, and you get this envelope full of cash. If you still come work for me in 2 weeks, awesome. The offer stands, but the cash is for tomorrow. And that
was my favorite thing that you ever said to me, Mike, that your goal was toolbox in the door in 24 hours.
Yep.
I was like, wow, he's on it.
Get them while they're hot, man. Get them while they're hot.
And
And
love with cash.
and the risk with that is sometimes you make bad hiring decisions. Sometimes they fool you, right?
Yeah.
And you're out that cash is gone.
You can have them do a 3-day working interview and they can fool you sometimes. I mean,
But every morning
anybody can be on good behavior for a couple days.
we gamble every morning in some aspect just by our feet hitting the ground. You know, that's just part of the gamble that we take. Hopefully we'll land the big fish or harvest a great harvest that year. You know,
that's why you don't have benefits for the first 90 days, right?
Exactly.
I don't want to do all the damn paperwork. And you know well before 90 days if they're right for your team or not, right?
They're in or they're out.
Yeah. Usually about a month. Usually takes about 30 days to really. I've had some that I made the wrong call on in like the first 15 days. I'm like, man, this ain't going to work out. And now they've been with us for 10 years,
Oh, I mean, I've had somewhere in the first 15 hours, right?
We've had that too. And you try to fight it. You ever do that?
And you're
you ever hold on to one
that?
way too long?
I'm guilty.
You ever hold on to one too long? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
The worst is when you really like them as a person. You're like, I would hang out with this dude.
Oh, dude.
Totally. Like we would be friends outside of work. We can't be friends on that level.
We had a service writer.
We
had a service writer like that. And like he's not working for us anymore. We invited him to the Christmas party. We like him as a person that much. He hasn't worked for us for 6 months. He's coming to the Christmas party. We called him up and said, hey, you and your wife come to the Christmas party. But
we need you.
Yeah. But man, in the shop, it's tough, man. Nice guy, really nice guy, but just was tricky.
Not a service writer.
tricky to work with, as far as I don't know, just as far as like, hey, this is how this is going to have to be handled, and there always be some excuse, and which I get. Talking to customers ain't easy. That's why they lock me, in an office or back in the shop, right? So
I guess the ultimate point is the job market has changed, the labor market has changed. Generationally, what motivates people has changed. I think 100%. It's time that we change our hiring practices, and I think it's time to be aggressive and assertive and hire fast. And if they're not right for the company, then you got to fire fast too, right? Yep. And once you get the right people in, then you got to talk about retention, right? And I don't know if we got time. We've been here for an hour already, but there are some creative ways you can go about retention and in creating loyalty and making it harder for people to be teased away by a few dollars an hour more.
Oh, one of the deals I saw when you talk about retention is at 5 years, you offer a significant vacation bonus.
Yeah, every 5 years, you get $5,000 and an extra week that year of paid vacation. You have to leave town. You got to go somewhere, and you don't just get a check for $5,000. You send me the bill for the hotel or the food expense or the flights or whatever it is, and you got to go on a vacation. I've had people get a beachfront house for a week with their family. I've had people go to Disney. I've had people go to NHRA quads in Charlotte. And people go to Nashville for a week. I had a dude take a cruise in the Mediterranean with his wife. And it's just, that's just.
Look at John. John's thinking about going to work for Mike right now. Look at him over there.
I've already got my application ready to mail. Bless you, Mike. It's so good to see you again. Bryan, I'm so proud of you, dude. I am proud of you in a desk. That's cool.
Only half in a desk. I don't want to lose my street cred. Hey, I still touch cars.
You'll stop. I have faith in you.
Thank you all so much for joining us tonight.
Bless
Good night, everybody.
All right. See you guys.